Give way. We have been mandated to search this property.
Okay, then I need to see your warrant before you come in.
That's not how we work.
This is my residence. You can't enter without a warrant.
Ma'am, you're making the police investigation difficult.
No, I'm asking a legal question about my constitutional
Turn around,
rights.
hands behind your back.
For asking
Stop resisting, stop!
Okay.
This wasn't a traffic stop. This wasn't a public street. This was a black woman standing at the door of her own home, and within seconds, asking a single legal question turned her into a suspect. The officers claimed they had a warrant. They never showed it. They never identified the judge. And they never verified who actually lived at that address. What they did do was escalate, fast. The woman they handcuffed wasn't a criminal. She was a medical student. Calm. Lawful. On her own property, and the moment she asserted her rights, the tone changed. In this video, we break down the BodyCam footage that captured racial profiling in real time, the exact second a constitutional right was treated like defiance, and how that moment turned a routine encounter into a $13.8 million lawsuit the department couldn't explain away. Before we go any further, if stories like this matter to you, subscribe to the channel. And drop a comment. I want to hear your thoughts. Because this didn't happen on a street corner. It didn't happen during a chase. It happened quietly, at the door of someone's residence. And what comes next isn't loud. It isn't chaotic. It's procedural. Stay with me to experience the moment that turns a routine encounter into consequences the department never expected. The BodyCam shakes as Officer Marcus Kane moves up the driveway, his boots scraping concrete. Hands where I can see them. His voice cuts through the quiet suburban night. Alexandria Brooks freezes on her own front porch, medical scrubs still damp from her hospital shift, keys dangling from her right hand, phone pressed to her left ear mid-conversation with her study partner. The porch light flickers yellow across her face. Behind her, her house number, 2847, glows clearly beside the door. She lowers her phone slowly, ending the call without looking away from the officer approaching with his hand hovering near his weapon. I said hands, visible. Kane barks again, stepping closer. His partner, Officer Troy Wallace, hangs back near the patrol car, silent, BodyCam recording but mouth shut. The radio on Kane's shoulder crackles with dispatch chatter, something about a possible break-in 2 blocks over. Alexandria's heart hammers but her voice stays level. My hands are visible. This is my house. She holds up both hands, keys catching the light. Kane's eyes narrow. He doesn't check the address. Doesn't radio for confirmation. His hand moves toward his cuffs. Her stomach drops. This is my house, Alexandria repeats, louder now, each word deliberate. The address is 2847, Oakmont Drive. My name is Alexandria Brooks. I live here. Kane stops 3 feet from her porch steps. His BodyCam captures everything, her scrubs with the University Hospital logo, her face illuminated under the porch light, the brass house numbers mounted beside her front door. We received a report, Kane says, his tone flat and absolute. Someone matching your description was seen acting suspiciously in this neighborhood. Alexandria's keys jangle as her hand trembles slightly. Not from fear of being wrong, but from the sick realization of what's happening. Matching what description, she asks. What exactly was reported? Kane doesn't answer. Instead, he asks, do you have identification? She nods slowly. Yes. In my bag. On my shoulder. She gestures carefully to the small crossbody bag hanging at her hip. Don't reach for it yet, Kane commands. Wallace shifts his weight by the car, still silent, still watching. The neighbor's dog barks twice across the street. A porch light flicks on 2 houses down. Someone's watching now. Alexandria stands perfectly still, waiting for permission to move. Kane's eyes track her every micro-movement. Slowly, he finally says. Take out your ID. Slowly. She reaches into her bag with 2 fingers, moving like she's defusing a bomb. Her wallet sits right on top. She pulls it out, flips it open. Stop reaching around, Kane snaps, even though she's doing exactly what he asked. Her driver's license shows clearly through the plastic window. She holds it up toward him. He doesn't step closer to look. Put it down on the ground, he orders. On the ground? Her voice cracks slightly. It's right here. You can see it. Kane's hand moves back toward his belt. I said put it down. She crouches slowly, placing her wallet on the concrete driveway. The material scrapes against the rough surface. As she stands back up, hands raised again, Kane's partner finally speaks. Jones, maybe we should just, Kane cuts him off with a look. The radio crackles again. Dispatch mentions the suspect from 2 blocks over was apprehended. Kane doesn't react. He's committed now. For Kane picks up her wallet, shining his flashlight on her driver's license. The address reads 2847, Oakmont Drive, this exact house. He stares at it for 3 full seconds. Then he looks at her. This doesn't prove anything, he says. Alexandria's mouth opens in disbelief. That's my license. That address. This house. She points behind her at the glowing numbers. You can verify it right now. Kane shakes his head. People use fake IDs. People break into houses they used to live in. She reaches back into her bag, pulling out her medical school ID, the laminated card with her photo, her name, and the university seal. Then her hospital badge, still clipped to her scrub pocket from tonight's shift. She holds both up under the porch light. The BodyCam captures everything in perfect clarity, her face on the IDs matching her face in front of him, her credentials showing she's a third-year medical student doing clinical rotations. Kane glances at them. That doesn't mean you live here, he says. The words hang in the air like poison. Behind her, she hears a door open across the street. Her neighbor, Mr. Phillips, steps onto his porch, phone in hand. The camera light activates. He's recording. I'm calling this in, Kane announces, reaching for his radio. Relief floods through Alexandria for half a second, finally, he'll verify. But he doesn't call dispatch. He calls for backup. Need another unit at 2847 Oakmont. Possible trespassing situation. Subject refusing to provide adequate identification. Refusing? The word explodes from her before she can stop it. I gave you my license, my medical school ID, my hospital badge. Kane's jaw tightens. Ma'am, you need to calm down. She is calm. Her voice is raised but controlled. Every word is clear. But Kane is reframing reality in real time. Wallace finally steps forward. Marcus, we can just run the address through dispatch. Confirm the resident registration. Kane shoots him a look that could melt steel. I'm handling this, Troy. The radio on Kane's shoulder crackles. Unit 34, what's your 20? It's dispatch, responding to his backup call. 2847, Oakmont Drive, Kane responds. Detaining a subject for verification. The word detaining sends ice through Alexandria's veins. Across the street, Mr. Phillips is still recording, phone raised high. Another neighbor's porch light flicks on. Then another. You're being detained, Kane says, pulling his handcuffs from his belt. Turn around and place your hands behind your back. Alexandria's whole body goes rigid. For what? I'm standing on my own property. I showed you identification. What crime do you think I committed? Kane steps onto her porch. You're being detained for investigation of trespassing. Turn around now. Her medical training kicks in, assess the threat, calculate the risks, respond appropriately. Arguing with an officer who's already decided his narrative is dangerous. Complying under protest and documenting everything is survival. I am not resisting, she says clearly, projecting her voice toward Mr. Phillips's phone camera. I am complying under protest. This is my home. I have provided identification showing this address. She turns slowly, placing her hands behind her back. The metal cuffs click around her wrists, left first, then right. The sound echoes across the quiet street. Kane's radio crackles again. Unit 34, backup is 3 minutes out. Behind them, more porch lights illuminate. Someone shouts from down the block, what's going on? The neighborhood is waking up. Sirens wail in the distance, growing louder. Wallace shifts uncomfortably near the patrol car. Marcus, the supervisor's probably gonna want a report on this. Kane ignores him, guiding Alexandria down the porch steps with a hand on her cuffed wrists. She stumbles slightly and he tightens his grip. Careful, he mutters, as if she's the one creating danger. The backup unit arrives, lights flashing, no siren. 2 officers step out. Kane immediately launches into his version. Subject here claims to live at this address but can't provide adequate proof. Acting suspicious, became verbally aggressive when questioned. Alexandria opens her mouth to object but Kane shoots her a warning look. One of the backup officers, a woman with sergeant stripes, walks past Alexandria toward the house. She shines her flashlight on the numbers beside the door, 2847. Then she looks at Alexandria, still handcuffed in her own driveway. "What's your name, ma'am?" she asks, her tone neutral but sharp. "Alexandria Brooks," she answers. "I'm a medical student. I live here. I just got home from my shift at University Hospital." The sergeant nods slowly. She turns to Kane. "Did you verify the address registration?" Kane's face tightens. "I was in the process of detaining the subject for further verification when the sergeant cut him off. I asked if you verified the address." Silence. Kane shifts his weight. "Not yet. I was securing the scene first." The sergeant's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in the air. She walks back to her patrol car, picks up the radio. "Dispatch, run an address check. 2847, Oakmont Drive. Need current resident registration." Static. Then a voice, "Copy. Stand by." Alexandria stands in her driveway, hands cuffed behind her back, while her neighbors watch from porches and windows. Mr. Phillips is still recording, his phone camera steady. The sergeant glances at him, then back at Kane. "Are you aware there's a witness recording this entire interaction?" Kane's shoulders stiffen. "I'm aware." The radio crackles. "Unit 23, address check complete. 2847, Oakmont Drive is registered to Alexandria Brooks, female, age 26. No warrants, no flags." The sergeant's head turns slowly toward Kane. "Whose house is this, Officer Kane?" The words from dispatch hang in the air like a guillotine. Alexandria Brooks. Her name. Her address. Confirmed. Undeniable. The sergeant's eyes lock onto Kane. "Uncuff her. Now." Kane doesn't move immediately. His brain is scrambling, trying to find a way to justify what he's done. "Sergeant," she was acting suspiciously. The sergeant steps closer to him. "I said uncuff her." Her voice is ice. Kane finally moves behind Alexandria, fumbling with the key. The cuffs release, right wrist first, then left. Blood rushes back into her hands. She rubs her wrists where the metal left red marks. Wallace's BodyCam is still recording. So is Mr. Phillips's phone. The sergeant turns to Alexandria. "Ms. Brooks, I apologize for this situation. You're free to go inside your home." Her legs feel shaky but she forces them steady. "I want his name and badge number," she says, her voice stronger than she feels. The sergeant nods. "You'll get that. And I'll be filing a full report on this incident." She looks at Kane. "Step back to your vehicle. We'll talk there." Kane starts to speak. "Sergeant, if you look at the totality of the circumstances," the sergeant's hand goes up, cutting him off. "Step back. Now." Kane's face flushes red but he obeys, walking stiffly toward his patrol car. Wallace follows, glancing back at Alexandria once with something that might be an apology in his eyes. The sergeant approaches Alexandria, her voice lower. "Are you injured? Do you need medical attention?" She shakes her head. "I'm okay. Just shaken." The sergeant pulls out a small notepad. "I need to ask you some questions for my report. Is that all right?" Alexandria nods. The sergeant asks her to walk through what happened, when she arrived home, when Kane approached, what he said, what she showed him. Alexandria recounts every detail while the sergeant's pen scratches across paper. Mr. Phillips calls from across the street. "I got the whole thing on video if you need it." The sergeant looks up. "Sir, please send that footage to the department. I'll give you the email." She turns back to Alexandria. Ms. Brooks, Officer Kane's bodycam footage will be preserved as evidence. You have the right to file a formal complaint. The sergeant walks toward Kane's patrol car, her stride deliberate. Alexandria stays on her porch, watching. Wallace stands beside their vehicle, arms crossed. Kane leans against the hood, trying to look casual, but his jaw is clenched tight. The sergeant stops in front of him. Why wasn't the address verified before detention? Her voice carries across the quiet street. Kane straightens. I made a tactical decision based on the initial report and the subject's behavior. The sergeant's pen doesn't move. What behavior? Specifically. Kane hesitates. She was evasive. Wouldn't initially comply with commands. Alexandria can hear every word from her porch. I complied with everything, she calls out. I showed him 3 forms of identification. The sergeant holds up a hand toward Alexandria, not dismissive, but asking for a moment. She looks back at Kane. She provided a driver's license with this address. A medical school ID. A hospital badge. You saw all of these? Kane nods reluctantly. Yes, but, the sergeant cuts him off. And you chose not to verify through dispatch because? Long pause. I believed further investigation was warranted. An hour later, Alexandria is sitting in a small room at the police station, not a cell, but a witness room with uncomfortable plastic chairs. The sergeant, whose name she learned is Sergeant Yolanda Pierce, asked if she'd be willing to come in to provide a formal statement. She agreed. Evidence matters. Through the window in the door, Alexandria sees Kane in the hallway, standing outside a supervisor's office. His bodycam footage is being reviewed in real time. She can't see the screen, but she can see the faces of the 2 supervisors watching it, a lieutenant and a captain, both stone-faced. Sergeant Pierce enters, carrying a tablet. Ms. Brooks, I want you to watch something. She turns the screen toward Alexandria. It's Kane's bodycam footage, starting from when he first approached her driveway. Alexandria watches herself freeze under the porch light. Watch herself comply with every command. Watch herself hold up her IDs under perfect lighting. Then she hears Kane's voice on the recording, that doesn't mean you live here. Sergeant Pierce pauses the video. This is the moment that concerns us most. She rewinds, plays it again. Alexandria's medical school ID is crystal clear in the frame. The house number behind her is perfectly visible. The door opens. A different supervisor enters, a captain with gray hair and 3 decades of lines on his face. He looks at Sergeant Pierce. Release her. Now. Full apology. Get her statement, then she's free to go. Pierce nods. The captain turns to Alexandria. Ms. Brooks, on behalf of the department, I apologize. This should never have happened. Kane is still in the hallway. Alexandria can see him through the window, standing stiffly as the lieutenant speaks to him in low, clipped tones. The captain follows her gaze. Officer Kane will be placed on administrative leave pending a full investigation. Internal Affairs has been notified. Alexandria's hands are shaking now, not from fear, but from the adrenaline finally crashing. I want copies of everything. The bodycam footage. The dispatch recording. The incident report. The captain nods. You'll have them within 48 hours. We're preserving all evidence. He pauses. You have every right to file a formal complaint. And to pursue legal action if you choose. Alexandria stands slowly. I'm going home now. Pierce escorts her out through a side exit, avoiding the hallway where Kane stands. As they walk, Pierce says quietly, for what it's worth, this was wrong. Completely wrong. Back home, Alexandria sits in her living room with every light on, too wired to sleep. Her phone buzzes, Mr. Phillips texted her the video he recorded. She watches it once, then again. The angle from across the street captures everything Kane's bodycam caught, plus the wider context, her quiet street, her well-maintained house, her standing peacefully on her own property. The next morning, she receives an email from the police department. Attached are the bodycam files, the dispatch audio, and the incident report. She downloads everything to 3 separate locations, her laptop, an external drive, and cloud storage. Evidence preserved. Documented. Undeniable. Her phone rings. It's her father, a retired attorney. She hadn't told him yet, didn't want to worry him in the middle of the night. But word travels fast in their family. Alexandria, tell me exactly what happened. She walks him through it, detail by detail. He listens without interrupting. When she finishes, there's a long pause. Then, I'm calling Jones Webb. He handles civil rights cases. He'll want to see this. She starts to protest, she just wants this to be over, but her father cuts her off gently. Baby, this isn't just about you. This is about the next person he stops. By noon, Mr. Phillips's video is online. Alexandria didn't ask him to post it, but she understands why he did. The title reads, Medical Student Handcuffed on Her Own Property After Showing ID, Full Footage. Within 2 hours, it has 50,000 views. By evening, 500,000. By midnight, it's trending. The comments section explodes. People share their own stories of being profiled, being disbelieved, being detained for existing in spaces where someone decided they didn't belong. Legal experts break down every constitutional violation. Civil rights organizations repost it with statements demanding accountability. A local news crew shows up at Alexandria's house the next morning. She doesn't answer the door. Her phone rings constantly, reporters, producers, advocacy groups. She silences it. She's not ready to be a symbol. She's barely ready to be herself again. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees Kane's hand moving toward his weapon. The university hospital calls. Her supervisor heard what happened and wants to make sure she's okay. Take whatever time you need, the supervisor says. Your shifts are covered. But Alexandria doesn't want time. She wants to go back to work, to feel normal, to be useful. She goes in the next day anyway. 3 days after the incident, the police department issued a statement. Officer Marcus Kane has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of an internal investigation into his conduct during a residential wellness check. The department takes all allegations of improper conduct seriously and is committed to transparency and accountability. Alexandria reads it twice. Wellness check. That's what they're calling it. Not a wrongful detention. Not racial profiling. A wellness check. The PR language is careful, sanitized. But the outcome is real. Kane's badge is on a desk somewhere, and he's sitting at home while investigators review every second of that BodyCam footage. Her attorney, Jones Webb, calls. They're trying to control the narrative before the lawsuit drops. Standard procedure. She meets with him that afternoon in his downtown office. He's in his 50s, sharp-eyed, with a wall of framed case victories behind his desk. I've reviewed all the footage, he says. This is as clean a case as I've ever seen. The BodyCam shows everything. He walks her through what comes next, the formal complaint, the lawsuit, the discovery process, the inevitable settlement negotiations. They won't let this go to trial, he says. The video is too damning. But we're going to file anyway. Make them answer for it. Internal Affairs opens their investigation with a broader scope than Alexandria expected. They don't just review Kane's actions that night, they pull his entire service record. Every stop he's made. Every report he's filed. Every complaint ever lodged against him, sustained or not. The pattern review begins. She learns this from Sergeant Pierce, who calls to update her. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, Pierce admits, but you deserve to know. Kane's had 7 complaints in 4 years. 5 involved black residents. 3 involved questioning people at their own homes or vehicles. Alexandria's stomach tightens. She wasn't the first. Just the first with this much evidence. The IA investigator assigned to the case is a veteran named Lieutenant Bernard Hayes. He's built his reputation on being thorough and unforgiving. When he reviews Kane's pattern, his recommendation is immediate and unambiguous: termination. Not retraining. Not suspension. Termination. The evidence isn't just about one bad night. It's about a pattern of bias that the department failed to address. The union tries to intervene, arguing Kane deserves due process. Hayes agrees, and provides it. The due process includes reviewing all 7 complaints, all the BodyCam footage, and the dispatch records showing Kane repeatedly delayed verification in similar situations. 2 weeks after the incident, Alexandria receives an email from the department's legal counsel. Kane has been terminated, effective immediately. The decision is described as unavoidable given the totality of evidence and the officer's pattern of conduct inconsistent with department values and constitutional standards. She reads the email 3 times, waiting for the relief to hit. It doesn't come the way she expected. She's not triumphant. She's just tired. Tired of replaying that night. Tired of checking her locks twice before bed. Tired of flinching when she sees patrol cars. Her therapist says it's normal, hypervigilance after trauma. But knowing it's normal doesn't make it stop. Jones Webb calls the same day. Termination is good for our case. Shows the department recognized the severity. Now we file. The lawsuit is drafted over the next week, 23 pages detailing unlawful detention, Fourth Amendment violations, racial profiling, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. They name Kane individually and the city of Columbus. The filing becomes public record. The media picks it up immediately. The story gets a second wave of attention, this time focused on accountability and consequences. Fired officer faces federal lawsuit after viral BodyCam video, reads one headline. The narrative is shifting from incident to impact. The lawsuit lands on the city attorney's desk like a bomb. Alexandria doesn't see this personally, but Jones describes the scramble, emergency meetings, legal teams reviewing footage frame by frame, risk assessments calculating potential damages. The city's exposure is massive. The evidence is irrefutable. The public pressure is relentless. Jones files the complaint in federal court, seeking damages for civil rights violations, emotional distress, and punitive damages against Kane personally. The amount isn't specified yet, that comes later. But the claims are clear. Alexandria was detained without reasonable suspicion, handcuffed on her own property, and subjected to racially motivated profiling despite providing clear evidence of residency. The city has 30 days to respond. Their attorneys spend the first week just watching the footage, reading the dispatch logs, and reviewing Kane's personnel file. One attorney reportedly told colleagues, "There's no defense here. None. The video shows everything." Kane's attorney tries to argue qualified immunity, that Kane made a reasonable mistake under uncertain circumstances. But the video destroys that argument. The house number was visible. The IDs were clear. The dispatch confirmation was one radio call away. There was nothing uncertain about the circumstances except Kane's willingness to verify basic facts before escalating to detention. The city attorney's office reaches out to Marcus 6 weeks after the lawsuit is filed. No trial. They want to settle. Marcus isn't surprised. They know they'll lose, he tells Alexandria. And they know a jury will be furious when they see that footage. The settlement negotiations happen behind closed doors, but Marcus keeps her informed at every stage. The city's opening offer is insulting, $150,000 and an apology. Marcus rejects it within an hour. They're testing to see if you'll take a quick payout and disappear. We're not doing that. He counters with $2.5 million plus mandatory policy reforms. The city balks. Their attorney calls it excessive. Marcus sends them a link to the BodyCam video, now with over 8 million views. The negotiations stretch over 3 weeks. Offers and counteroffers. The city moves to $400,000. Marcus holds at $2 million. They meet in a conference room downtown, Marcus, Alexandria, the city attorney, a risk management consultant, and a mediator. The city attorney plays the footage again, even though everyone in the room has seen it dozens of times. "We can't defend this at trial," the city attorney finally admits. The question is what's fair compensation and what reforms prevent it from happening again. Marcus leans forward. The compensation reflects the violation. The reforms reflect the pattern. The settlement is reached on a Tuesday morning. $1.85 million, plus mandatory policy changes, plus a public statement acknowledging the violation. The number is reported as high 7 figures in the press release, but Marcus tells Alexandria the exact amount privately. It's more money than she's ever imagined having. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like payment for a trauma she never asked for. The policy changes matter more to her than the money. The settlement requires the department to implement new protocols for residential stops. Officers must verify address registration before detention, must document why verification was delayed if applicable, and must receive enhanced training on implicit bias and Fourth Amendment standards. The changes are named in the settlement agreement. They're permanent. The public statement from the city is brief but direct. The city acknowledges that Ms. Alexandria Brooks was wrongfully detained at her residence and that Officer Kane's actions violated her constitutional rights. We have implemented policy reforms to prevent similar incidents and remain committed to serving all residents with fairness and respect. Alexandria reads it and feels nothing. Then she reads it again and feels angry. Then she reads it a third time and finally, she feels something like closure. Marcus handles the press. Alexandria gives one statement: "I hope these reforms protect the next person who shouldn't have to prove they belong in their own home." The new policy is rolled out at roll call briefings across all shifts. Officers are required to attend a 2-hour training session on residential stops, featuring, ironically, the BodyCam footage from Alexandria's case as the primary example of what not to do. She learns this from Sergeant Pierce, who reaches out months later to tell her the training is actually working. Officers are verifying before detaining now, Pierce says. The culture is shifting. Slowly, but it's shifting. Alexandria wants to believe her. Some days she does. Other days she remembers that it took a viral video, a termination, and a massive settlement to make the department do what should have been standard practice from the beginning. The policy requires dispatch verification before any detention at a private residence unless there's an immediate safety threat. It requires officers to document their reasoning if they delay verification. It requires supervisors to review all residential stop reports for patterns. These aren't revolutionary changes. They're basic accountability measures that should have existed already. But they exist now. Because of what happened to Alexandria. Because Mr. Phillips recorded it. Because the BodyCam couldn't be erased or edited. Because Marcus fought and the city couldn't defend the indefensible. That's something. It's not enough. But it's something. 6 months after that night, Alexandria is invited to speak at a community forum on police accountability. She almost declines. She's not an activist. She's a medical student who just wanted to go home after a long shift. But she thinks about the comments on that video, hundreds of people saying, "This happened to me too, but nobody believed me." She accepts the invitation. The room is packed. Alexandria stands at a podium, looking at faces that range from supportive to skeptical to exhausted. She doesn't prepare a speech. She just tells the truth. "I did everything right," she says. "I showed identification. I stayed calm. I complied. And I still ended up handcuffed in my own driveway. The only reason I got justice is because there were cameras. That can't be the only way this works." Her voice doesn't shake. She's not angry anymore. She's clear. "I don't want sympathy. I want systems that don't require perfect victims with perfect evidence to function correctly. I want officers trained to verify before they escalate. I want accountability to be automatic, not exceptional." The room is silent when she finishes. Then someone starts clapping. Then everyone is. Afterward, a young woman approaches her. "Thank you," she says quietly. "I was stopped in my own apartment building last year. Nobody recorded it. Nobody believed me." Alexandria takes her hand. "I believe you." The footage still circulates online. It's been used in law school classes, police training academies, and civil rights seminars. Every time Alexandria sees it reshared, she's back on that driveway, keys in hand, porch light overhead, watching an officer decide she doesn't belong in her own home. One decision. That's all it took. Kane decided what he was looking at within the first 30 seconds and refused to consider evidence that contradicted his assumption. He saw a black woman in scrubs at a nice house and his brain filled in a narrative: suspicious, trespassing, lying. Every piece of evidence Alexandria offered was filtered through that initial assumption. Her IDs became fake. Her calm explanations became evasive behavior. Her constitutional rights became obstacles to overcome. That's what bias does. It turns facts into excuses and people into threats. The smoking gun moment is frozen in a screenshot that's been shared thousands of times. Alexandria's medical school ID held up clearly under the porch light, house number visible behind her, and Kane's own words captured in the BodyCam audio. That doesn't prove anything. It proves everything. It proves he wasn't interested in verification. He was interested in being right. That single frame contains the entire story, the evidence ignored, the authority assumed, humanity dismissed. It's the moment the case became indefensible. The BodyCam footage fades to black after 47 minutes and 12 seconds. The timestamp freezes. The screen goes dark. But the impact doesn't end there. Kane never worked in law enforcement again. His certification was revoked. His career ended the moment he decided verification wasn't worth his time. The settlement funded policy changes that trained hundreds of officers on better practices. Alexandria's life moved forward. She finished medical school. She matched into her residency. She still lives at 2847 Oakmont Drive. She still gets home late from shifts. She still walks up her driveway carrying her keys. But now, every time she sees a patrol car, her pulse spikes. Trauma doesn't fade just because justice was served. That's something the settlement couldn't fix. But accountability happened. An officer who violated rights faced real consequences. A department that enabled a pattern implemented real reforms. A system that often protects misconduct actually worked, not perfectly, not quickly, but eventually. That matters. It's not enough. It's never enough when the trauma was preventable. But it's more than most people get. The footage is still out there. Still teaching. Still proving what happens when assumption overrides verification. Still showing what accountability looks like when cameras capture truth and systems finally respond. That's the takeaway: evidence matters. Accountability is possible. And verification should always come before detention. Always.